Welcome to the Powered by Factum podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Fuller, and I'm here with the one and only Mr. Wade Borth. And today we are going to be talking about how we met, why we decided to team up and collaborate, and more importantly, what does that mean for the future of life insurance agents? Yeah. So, Wade, we originally got introduced from Mary Jo Ehrman, the author of Farming Without the Bank, one of our fellow IBC practitioners, top producer. I don't know if you'll find a more passionate person around IBC than Mary Jo.
More passionate about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's the one that originally knew you. You had a great long-term relationship with her.
Yeah.
So she knew your story. She started to learn mine, and she said, I think you guys should be chatting.
Yeah.
I think there's something here. And I think she was spot on.
Yeah, I would agree. Everything we do is based off relationships. And I really don't believe that the meeting, the introduction she brought us to bringing us together was an accident. It was meant to be. But it always starts with the relationships. And if you have a good, solid relationships built on foundational principles, great things can happen. Now, Mary Jo she's very bright. She understood that what I was looking for, I was looking to teach and to mentor and to really grow people in this industry and see it in a little bit different light than most people see it. And she saw what you had, which was, here's a guy that's excited, that's passionate about where he wants to go with vision, and said, what was he missing? And she was it was great insight on her part. She says, hey, Wade, you need to meet this Kyle. I'm like, who's Kyle? I ain't gonna meet Kyle. No, I didn't say that because I didn't know you. And then she introduced us, and it was funny because we go, hey, how you doing? And it was kind of like we moved on. But something sparked at that time that said, oh, I need to know what this guy's doing. And so that's when we started our conversations.
Yeah.
So it was just, like I said, it was based off of a solid relationship. It all starts with a relationship. And that's why I say, whoever you're having contact with or whoever you're doing business with, just understand that's a relationship that you want to build because you never know where that's going to take you.
Absolutely. And we kind of changed that frame around like coincidence, right? We don't really use that term anymore now. We refer to them as God's instances. We were definitely supposed to meet and collaborate. And this is the funny thing about thinking really big. Like really big goals attract big action, big energy, and big partnerships. And when Mary Jo put us together, the piece that I was missing, because we do have a vision for Factum, which we'll get to in just a second, I couldn't wait to get 30, 35 years of experience in this business with what I want to do in 10. And so when we started chatting, you realized I had some systems and processes I'd built. You have this very unique journey in the IBC business, which I want to chat about. And when we put those together, we got something really special. And, it's funny, I think back to being like a kid, my favorite number's always been 11 since as long as I can remember. And now it has more meaning to me than ever because when you put 1 and 1 together, like 1 plus 1, most people would say that equals 2. But when I see 1 and 1 go together, I see 11. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened to our businesses when we collaborated. We are 11 times better now with each other than we were separately. Yeah. And to just give you, everyone who's listening, a background on why Wade runs our entire agent training and development systems here at Factum. Wade has 35 years of experience in the business, life insurance.
It's close to that. Yeah, it's right at the 35-year mark. It's hard to believe that's happening.
So the amount of wisdom and experience that comes from that. How many years did you have working directly at the home office insurance carrier?
So I had about 4 years working in the home office, building product and working on distribution, understanding training agents or supporting people that were training agents. So it was a broad-based education inside the home office, which was interesting because when I was out in the field working, I'm like, I think I could make an impact there. And I went there, had some experiences, and for whatever reason, well, not whatever reasons, it was purpose-driven. It would happen for a reason. They go, hey, how about taking an opportunity to go work now to recruit agents and to get to know more of the distribution, the field that are out there. And so 4 years inside of a home office, a couple of years outside of the home office, as it were, but still having a tight relationship with the home office. So it's interesting when you get to see how the sausage is made, it gets you a better appreciation for, this is why they're doing what they're doing. This is why they say what they say. They don't do it out of malice. They just said, we still have to make money because insurance companies always make money. And so we want to be part of that. So once you get to see the inner workings of it, that's huge. That's so beneficial for what we're doing. Because as the world changes, it gets more competitive, we need to know more and more about how our product works and what we do and the tool that we use. We have to know the inner workings of that. So that was super helpful to have that experience.
That self-mastery.
Yeah.
So 30, 35 years of experience in the life insurance realm, close to 10 at an insurance carrier, a large one, our preferred carrier, One America.
Yeah.
And then how many years directly with Nelson Nash?
So I met Nelson Nash in 2006. I believe it's 2006. Time goes by quickly, but it was an interesting story. Is I actually called Nelson after reading his book 3 times. Probably like a lot of people that are like me. I picked the book up. I read it. I'm like, oh, there's so much good stuff here. And I set it down. Can't be true.
Yeah.
Right. Picked up again. I'm like, man, this is good stuff. It can't be true. There's got to be a scam. Set it back down. Third time I picked it up, then I felt, oh my gosh, there's something here that is pulling me. So I actually, at that time, I called this telephone number that was in the back of the book, and I was expecting to get a secretary or an office. And the guy picked it up as this older gentleman down in Birmingham, says Nash here. And so then we started an hour conversation with Mr. Nelson Nash. And so that was the start of my journey down the IBC pathway. And that was hugely valuable. And funny story about that was I said, can I fly down and just have dinner with you or lunch with you? Just because I have some questions. Because again, I was in the insurance business.
Yeah.
This was 15 years into the insurance business. And I'm like, I thought I knew what I knew, but I didn't know anything. That was the scary part. It's like, nobody taught me this, and I'm in the dang business. Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's back up here. Let's have a conversation with Nelson. Let's find out what he's saying is so disturbing to me.
Yeah.
And so he says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll invite you down to what they call their think tank. And I think it was the second one that they were having. And there was probably 25 people in the room at the time. And it's blossomed from that point.
I love it. And Nelson, I only got to meet him once, I guess a few times, but I only had one private personal conversation with him for 15 minutes. And I'll never forget it. And think about the impact that one person had. That man was a genius, no doubt about it. And for him to take what he recognized and saw in the life insurance realm and compile it into a book that's less than 90 pages. I've always loved the phrase, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. That's when you know you're dealing with a professional or a genius, is when they can simplify something to that level. Yeah. Because you'd been in the industry a long time and you read that and then you realized how much you actually didn't know.
Right.
And I think it takes a special person to kind of let go of that ego and pride and be like, am I open to learning something new? Which is something Nelson teaches right out of his book, The Arrival Syndrome, right? And you put all those ingredients together, and I think that's what makes you so unique, Wade, and why it's been such a tremendous value add for me, because I've mentored under you for a couple of years now. The life insurance business expertise, the home office experience, and working with Nelson Nash. I don't know how many individuals exist in our country that have that special blend. And to me, that's what's made you so impactful for what we do. Aside from all of our core values aligning and it being a very easy, profitable, fun partnership we're in, you have such a unique gift to offer agents, which is one of the reasons why we collaborated. I had systems and processes and a vision. You have all the experience that I could not wait 30 something years to get. And even then, I don't know if I could have done it. Not at the level that you have it.
And it's interesting because you say that. I was just at a symposium here. It was this week now. I don't know when you're listening to it, but recently I was at this group of insurance people having a conversation. I looked around the room and I looked at the people that were in there and the impact that Nelson made with his book. Because from the stage, from people having conversations in the hallways and in the room, I looked, 80% of the people somehow had their lineage or the trace back to Nelson. That's my ultimate passion and that's why I think we're together, right? So that collaboration came together because I wanted to make an impact. I want to make an impact on this industry, on my clients, on anybody I can have a relationship with. But my struggle was I wasn't able to do it by myself. And when I saw what you were doing, it was just instantly the light bulb went on. I was like, we have a way to reach the millions that we want to reach. Right? And honestly, it was like this perfect storm that was intended to come together. It was like, I wanted to make that impact, and you do too. That's kind of the fun part, is with the common set of values, the common purpose that we're driven by is I want to make an impact. You want to make an impact. We have a separate set of skills, by bringing them together, it's been huge. It's been so much fun. That's the other part of it. I mean, I haven't had as much fun doing anything as I've had doing this last 2 years. It's exhausting. I'm tired at the end of the day. I'm exhausted and tired because of good things. I'm leaving all out on the field.
It's fun to build something big, huh?
It is fun to build something big. And then again, having it be purposeful and making an impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's why collaboration is so important. There's way too much competition, especially in our industry. Man, we got an industry that is, I want to say it's pretty toxic. It's built off of scarcity. There's very little abundance, and we're looking to change that. And we need more collaboration, less competition.
Yeah.
What are we fighting over, Wade? There's 30 million small business owners in the U.S.
There's 200 and 300 million people in just the United States. And what's there, 100,000, 200,000 life agents that are actually active, right? Actually out selling. When you do the numbers, and the other side of the equation is part of the thing that got me excited about the symposium that we were just at was to look around and see it's a small number of young people getting in the business, but that's the part that excites me.
Yeah.
I have more probably years behind me than I do ahead of me. And I'm looking forward. It's like, how can we make an impact? And it's almost like if you have a famous artist, he's looking at a blank canvas. Right now, we just kind of do a little erasing or kind of clean up some of the edges because the old insurance way of doing things I think is out the door. It's gone.
Yeah.
And now it's the collaboration side of it. There is so much more collaboration in that room and the conversations we're having than I've ever seen. Because to your point, there is a real scarcity mindset. But just think about what you can do working together versus working against each other. Everybody says, oh, the competition's the other insurance guy or the other agent or the guy that's doing that. That's so not true. It's the competition's the misinformation that's out there.
Yeah.
And unless you get together with somebody, unless you can at least have a relationship with people out there, you don't necessarily have to be in business with them or work together with them, but at least have a relationship with them. So you can fall back on them, you can lean on them, they can lift you up, you can lift them up. Man, this is a lonely business if you don't have that.
And it's the importance of community. And so let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about where we're going. So what we're going to build here at Factum, because we need an army of leaders in this business, we're going to build an agency that's mutually owned with 5,000 insurance agents in order to serve 1 million families 10 years from now. That's where we're headed. And in order to do that, we got to make sure our principles are really sound.
Yeah.
And so I've always loved, we started Factum because Factum is Latin for a statement of facts or a truth. And I absolutely believe we're bringing the truth to the marketplace. We are dealing with the only asset that has actual guarantees built into it. So what I consider what we show people the most absolute truth they could ever see numerically, in addition to all the other benefits they get by moving their savings into more whole life insurance policies. And so just kind of the essence of Factum there. But we went a little bit deeper because in order to build what we're looking to build, you actually can't focus on life insurance. You have to focus on leadership.
Right.
And so when we take a step back and we look at what are we building here, a lot of people say, oh, you're an insurance agency. Maybe. We're actually a leadership development agency that sells life insurance. And there's a huge difference there.
100%. It starts with building leaders. When we say building leaders, what does that mean, right? So we're building leaders in your own life, right? You have to lead yourself first. If you can't lead yourself, how are you supposed to lead anybody else? We want you to lead your business, want you to lead your community. What makes Factum different is that we approach it from a conversation of you have to have abundance in a lot of different areas. The 5 areas that we, if we haven't talked about, we will be talking about in different podcasts. But you have to have leadership in all those areas in order for you to have that abundance so you can lead others to do that. Because I can't have the impact that I want on my own.
Right.
So we have to be able to team with others and hone our skills and mastery of those skills, and all starts going back to how do I be the best leader that I can be for my family, for myself, for my wife, for my child, all those things, right? So we have to be leaders for you, and you have to be a leader for me. It's not a position of authority. It's a position of impacting and getting people to change what they're doing.
Absolutely. And so we talked a little bit about the definition of Factum. And if you break it down, we came up with an acronym for Factum on what makes us a high-performing organization.
Yeah.
And so the F is focus on success, which we're going to get into that later. The A is authentic leadership. This is at every single level, from the top down, new agent, whatever it is, authentic leadership across the board. You got to have a compelling vision, which is the C in Factum. Training and coaching.
Yeah.
We're big on training and coaching. The U in Factum is unrelenting innovation. We're in an industry that I think they forgot what that word means. And we're innovating things at a crazy speed right now. And some of the projects that we've built, people look at it and they say, that's amazing. And this is the worst it'll ever be because we're constantly reinforcing the idea of innovation.
Yeah.
And then the M is mutually owned.
Yeah.
And so we are patterning what we're building now off of the same way a mutually owned insurance carrier would operate with its cash reserves, its long-term thinking. And so we have profit share that goes to our agents, just like the profit share of a mutual owned carrier would go to its policyholders. So we've done things very differently here because we have a very long-term vision. And let's just cover the 3 guiding principles quickly. So some things you're going to hear in this podcast repeatedly. One of our guiding principles is stronger together. That is a team approach. It is collaboration, infinite thinking. This means think long-term, think abundantly, think differently.
Right.
And then intentional growth. None of this happens, especially growing as a leader, without intentional growth.
Yeah. And I think all of them are important, but the intentional growth is the one I think a lot of people miss. Because a good friend of ours, Steve Chitter, he says it all the time, is you never drift to a desired location. I've used that in conversations with my son, my 16-year-old son, all the time. It's like, how do we get to where you want to go unless you actually put the oars in the water, right?
Right.
And you have to know what that point is, or otherwise you might as well just be rowing in circles. And so it's so important to have that intentional growth in all the things that you're doing, right? So if it's self-mastery, or if it's just whatever you're doing in your life, in your business, in your family, it's not just in business. That's the biggest thing about Factum that's so exciting to me, is that it's not just one-dimensional. You have to grow in all directions to be well-rounded, right? So I get hard time that I'm still well-rounded, no matter how, when you look at me. But the point is, you have to grow in all those areas, because it's not just in business. Because somebody that is like killing it in business, but is miserable in their home life, they're not going to do it long-term. That was Nelson's point, is to think long-term.
Yeah.
Think long-term in all the things you do, not just in his words, the banking idea, but also what are we doing from a legacy standpoint?
Yeah.
How impactful is what I'm doing today for myself and my son? I want to be the person that's up on the wall and my great-great-great-grandchildren pointing up to my picture and saying, hey, that's Wade. He's the one that changed our lives because he was able to think long-term.
Absolutely. And they 100% will. We're definitely on that track.
Right.
And I would agree. This is what makes our community so different. And when we show up to Truth Concepts events, symposiums, we always get some eyes looking at us because our group's a little loud. We're young. It's energetic.
Some of us are young. No.
Right. There's a reason we don't have HR right now, because we're still a little bit new. It's like we like to have fun, but the reason we get people coming to our community now, and we don't even market for this, is because that 5 areas conversation. We absolutely believe that if you want to wake up and enjoy every second of every day, you have to create abundance in all 5 areas of life. Spiritually, meaning you have to have a purpose, a passion to your life. Personally, you got to grow a relationship with yourself. You need to like who you are, take care of yourself, right? Your family. We are big on family here. Most of what we do is for our family. Yeah. We primarily teach in the financial area of life, but the only reason we teach that, how to win the money game, is to fund the perfect lifestyle, right? And then your occupation. And we love what we do, which is why I don't use the word retirement anymore. I'm going to do this and commit to this journey of what we're going to build for the next 70 years. There is no end game. Intentional growth has no endpoint. It's a continuation.
No expiration date on when I want to stop working.
Right.
Because I really don't see it as working. I see it as just making an impact on people's lives.
Absolutely.
I see it as being that person that they look to and say, this is the person that we worked with. And I say that I've helped people along the way. I'll take that back a little bit. And so many people that I've considered as good clients, good friends, have helped me further along my career than I've ever gotten out of it. And that's the beauty of it. Is like when you have those strong relationships and you have that vision of growth and I'm going to help you, you're going to give more to me than I'm ever going to get, than I'm ever going to give to you. And that's when you approach it with that idea that I can bring you value without ever having expectations of having anything in return. That's when you kind of find that freedom.
Yeah.
And that's the type of people that belong here, is like those people that are wanting to make an impact on the society or their community that they're in. And their community might not be their family. And that's the kind of, we had a discussion about this 2 days ago with a group of people. It's like they were struggling with their family. And I was like, maybe that's not the community. That's your family. Hopefully it's part of your community, but some people will look at what you do and go, I don't think that's for me. I'm like, that's fine, because there's 1,000 other people that want to hear your message.
They're waiting for it.
They're waiting for it. They're in your light. They're raising their hand and go, hey, I'm here. Help me.
Yeah.
So stop spending time with the people that are in the shadows trying to bring them in. Spend your time working with those people that want to help that want your help.
Absolutely. And when you're living that abundance in those 5 areas, that's what everyone is really searching for. The more I've had this conversation and chatted with more folks, that's what they're really after in life. And once you're there, why would you ever retire from a perfect life?
Right.
It changes the whole conversation, how you view so many things. And so let's chat about this collaboration. So we came together, we put some systems, some processes, some coaching, some training, innovation, focusing on success. We built all of this for insurance agents to help them be more successful in this business. So Wade, let's talk about why agents fail in the first place. Because the stat that I keep hearing from our carriers, right, is about 20% of agents will make it in their first 24 months in the business. So 4 out of 5 agents burn out, quit, fail in less than 24 months.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, there's a number. It's an awful stat. It's almost embarrassing being part of the industry, and you see that stat. It almost makes you want to walk away. I'm part of that industry, but probably the biggest reason behind that is everybody sees it and they go, oh, I want that for a lot of different reasons. But it starts with them not knowing who or what that they want, right? Who they are. They don't know who they are and they don't know what they want. That's usually what the start of it is.
So they got no clear vision or purpose on what they want to do.
Yep.
So going back to what we've learned from Steve Chater, one of our coaches here and a great mentor,
Yep.
You don't drift to a desired location. So unless they enter the business with some type of purpose, they're usually going to drift around and then they drift out of the business.
100%, because again, it's hard. I was listening to a young lady speak about this business, and she's just a couple years into it, and she goes, man, it's a grind. I'm like, what's a strange thing? Because she's promoting the business. She says it's a grind. She says it's a grind unless you know why you're doing it. Is the end game worth the pain that you're going to go through? Because this could be a terrible job, but it's a fabulous career. You impact people's in their lives for generations. So it's a great career, but it does have this grind. And if you don't have a focus and a purpose, the first time you hit a bump, you're going to go, that's not worth it. So having that focus and purpose is huge.
Absolutely. And I'll say one of the things that I've seen and that I know why agents come in and fail, because we interview a lot of agents, and I'm already smiling because I'm like, one of the things they always ask for, okay, I like this. I've seen some of your guys' videos. I like your community. Do you guys provide leads?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can tell you right now, leads is not your problem. And they say, well, what do you mean? I said, if I gave you 100 deals from my pipeline right now, you'd screw it up. You have no idea how to even run a business, how to even serve a client, how to build a relationship. Leads is not your problem, my friend. What your problem is, you lack leadership.
Right.
Leadership. And that's really what we're offering agents here, right?
Yeah. They could probably stumble over 2 or 3 cases out of 100.
A blind squirrel finds an acorn every once in a while, right?
Exactly. Yep. And so they could do that, but it's like, how do you have a conversation with them? How do you expect somebody to put $100,000 with you if you don't know why you're putting that $100,000 into a certain spot? What is their purpose? What is your guiding principles around that?
Yeah.
Because they can go with anybody. If you want to commoditize it, then it becomes a very lonely world.
Yeah.
But if you make it a relationship game, if you built a relationship, you understand what their issues are and their problems are, and you have the medicine to solve it, then it becomes a completely different conversation. It's not about product. It's about a relationship and solving problems.
Yeah. And something you just said just made me think about the relationships. Oh my gosh, it just left me.
It's dead air on a podcast. That's always a good thing.
That's okay. We'll come back to that if I remember it. But so no real leadership, right? And that's really where we start is instead of helping agents build a job here, we show them from the get-go how to build the foundation to run a business. That's a huge, way different conversation. So, but I think back to one of the reasons why I struggled for a while. I did this business 4 years part-time while I was doing real estate.
What kind of results did you get?
Yeah. You want to know what the results were? I made between $30,000 and $60,000 in each business simultaneously. Was not great. And one of the books that we recommend here is The One Thing by Gary Keller. First year I read that book and I realized I was chasing 2 rabbits, and when you chase 2 rabbits, you don't catch either one. As soon as I got out of real estate and went all in on where my passion was, full time, the only thing, my production went from 60,000 to I think 180 or 200 that very next year. That's commissions, right?
Right.
It was a huge difference.
And even aside from the commissions, were you excited to get out of bed? Were you excited to get up and like, I'm going to make a difference in this world?
Yeah.
Because to that point, it's when you do things part-time, you have to question about it. is what I'm getting is that $30,000 worth that pain I have to go through to get it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And we'll talk a little bit later about cost of acquisition, but that's, I can remember the day when I'm like, man, this place stinks. This place I'm in stinks, because I'm like, I was kind of like you. When I first got in the business, I was full-time, but I was part-time in my mind, right? I was out doing 100 other things thinking I'll get to that later. And I was a part-timer in my mind. And when I got at the end of the year and I look, that's all I made for all the anguish and all the hours I put in. In all reality, I put no hours in, but in my mind I did.
Right.
And that's all you did. So it was just, that pain was not worth the compensation I was getting. And I was not fulfilled until I decided, hey, if I'm going to be serious about this, I'm going to take and have a plan and start working at moving it forward.
Yeah. And so let's just wrap that up. What that means is, one, agents come in here, they fail because of lack of leadership, no vision or purpose. They have no idea what to do. So they end up doing you can do 1,000 things in this business when you're new. Yeah. But if you don't focus on the right things or the one thing for a long enough period of time, you will absolutely fail in this business. Yep. And so you got to focus on the 20% that's going to yield you 80% of your results. And you have to stay right there and be very disciplined and patient to let the compound effect take over, which is another book we recommend here, The Compound Effect. This is a time and consistency business. And if you don't start off right, you run the risk of getting burnt out because you're doing all this work for what? A little bit here and there. But we've sped up that process by implementing some coaching and training that focuses on what new agents should be focused on for exactly how long. And once they're there, they're off to the races.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot there that you just said, but it does come back down to when you might even say, I got a purpose and I got a vision, but I don't know what to do. So I don't have a system to plug into. So it takes you a year or two to develop kind of what that looks like, or how do I make this work, or how do I not lose people in the process, or whatever it might be that's not working. So having a system is so valuable, because if you don't have a system, it would be like Walmart. They have all kinds of inventory, but if they don't have a system on how to get that inventory to the stores that they need to get it to, it doesn't do them any good.
Yeah.
So having a system is huge. The other thing that I see in this industry is the lack of mentorship and the lack of coaching. Because people want to be independent. They want to do this on their own.
Yeah.
Well, you can do it on your own, but are you willing to pay the price to do it on your own? Are you willing to put in the 3 to 5 years to just start to quote unquote break even in this business? Or would you rather speed it up and do it a lot quicker?
Yeah.
With a good mentoring program. I look at the people that are super successful in this business. None of them got here without a mentor.
No one.
I see a lot of people that leave the business. A lot of those didn't have mentors.
Yeah.
And I'm not real bright, but I can kind of put those two and two together.
Right. Exactly. We can use some good common sense, reason, and logic, right?
Exactly.
Like Nelson used to say. Now, what you just said is new agents fail because they come in, they want to be completely independent. They focus on creativity, which is not a bad thing.
Nope.
It's just not the first thing you should focus on. You need to follow a model and a system, get your foundation set. Once you have the foundation set, by all means, get as creative as you want. But they're always going to come in, I'm going to do it my way, and it's okay. And it's why 4 out of 5 agents fail in this business. And that's really what we've created here, is a model and a system down to daily tasks you need to be doing every day before noon for a 24-month period to have really good success in this business.
Yeah. And you think about it, if 20% of the business or the people in this business fail after 2 years, with that idea of what you just laid out, actually we should be applauding 20%, because it's just by chance that they're being successful.
That's what you call a grind, Wade.
That's a grind.
The ones that survived, grind.
Grind. Yep.
Is that a fun word?
No.
Does anyone think about like a grinding wheel? That's not a pleasant experience. You're like chiseling down metal or like stoning. Grinding is not, that seems very, success is uncomfortable. There's no doubt about it. But it doesn't have to be a grind. It can actually be enjoyable.
Right.
You can have fun while doing it, knowing I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing to be successful. Then you just got to be patient.
Yeah, be patient and get into a system. Again, because if we think about it, if you don't have a system, if you don't have a mentor, 20% success rate is probably pretty good. It's probably even a number we should celebrate. But why do you want to go through that? That's the whole question, is like there are systems. We've put together a tremendous amount of system. And that was one of the reasons why we collaborated, is like I had this vision, I have this passion to take people way beyond what I see as wildly successful. And we started, we have it, we'll refine it, we'll make it better each and every day and each every year. But it's still at the starting spot versus just wandering in the wilderness.
Yeah. Exactly right. And so let's chat about just some of the trainings and coaching segments we have here at Factum. So we have 3 levels of coaching and training. The first is what we call launch. Now, launch is a very specialized program that is completely geared towards brand spanking new agents. What do new agents know? Absolutely nothing. And one of the reasons why they fail is because there's a million things you can do in this business. So our launch training is going to show you week by week exactly what you need to be doing to generate some business, to help serve some families so that you actually make money in this business in your first year. And it is a very simple training, but it cannot be underestimated. People want to overcomplicate this business. It's a really simple business if you follow a model and system. You can complicate it with your creativity later, but follow the model and system so you actually make it through your first 2 years. Not make it through, but actually succeed, do well. And so we focus on a few things. We'll get into it in a later episode, but exactly what is entailed in our launch program. It is exactly that. It's there to help you launch your business.
Yeah. It's a tremendous roadmap for somebody that's brand new.
Yeah.
Again, laying out the basic things that you need to do. Is like anything else, when you start any business at all, sometimes you look at people that start franchises. You just don't say, I'm going to put up a McDonald's and you build a store tomorrow.
Yeah.
They take you through a whole process. You have to know the ins and outs. This is no different. This business should be no different. I should know, and Nelson talks about in his book, is if you're going to start a grocery store, you better do the research. You better do the learning and the education.
You got to build your foundation.
Build your foundation. Yeah.
And that's really what that launch training is about. And people jump to all sorts of stuff. But the reality is, if you don't know how to build a database, you have no business, no foundation. And if you can't lead generate, you have no other problem in this business. Let me say that again. If you don't know how to lead generate and build a database, anything you're thinking you need to be doing, education, customizing, whatever the heck, social media,
podcast,
you have no other business, no other problem in this business if you can't lead generate. That's it.
Yep.
So now let's shift gears. Our next level of training is called stability. See, once you've graduated from launch, you've done the basics, you have the foundation built. Now I would say someone's running a very stable business. So when I was making on average $250,000 a year, I would say that was a stable business I was running. And this is where leverage comes into play. So all the systems and processes we built here, that's when you can start utilizing leverage. Now, you can't use leverage if you don't have any leads.
Right.
What are you going to leverage? There's nothing to leverage. So people want to jump in and say, you guys have all these great systems. I could use this. I could use that. Well, hold on a minute. Do you even have a database? Have you built your foundation? Because we can give you the best systems and processes in the world, the best education, the best courses. And if you can't lead generate, you have nothing to leverage. And the stability conversation, which is really geared for agents making like 100,000 to let's say 250 consistently a year. This is a different set of coaching and training modules we have to help agents really accelerate that through leverage.
Yeah. And I love the names we put to them. Is the launch training is exactly that. It's got to be a launch pad. That's your start, right? So I always think about launches. People come to this business because a couple different reasons. They have a story to tell, or they have something that happened in their lives or personally that they see that they want to make an impact. Well, that's why a lot of people, and that's why I got into this business. We can talk about that later. But again, who are you telling that story to? If you're telling it to 10 people, are you going to make an impact?
Right.
Well, if you have 1,000 people or 10,000 people, then you can make an impact. So the most important thing is understanding how to tell your story and how to get people in your database and say, I need to be able to tell my story, because my story is not just one time. My story is changing and evolving, and I'm going to tell it 1,000,000 times. So I need as many people to hear my story as possible.
Absolutely.
And then going back to stability is kind of the same way. That name is so true, because just because you've made it 2 or 3 years in the business doesn't mean you have a bulletproof business. It's still fragile. You got to find some stability to it. You got to get some legs down. You got to get your sea legs underneath you. And so we teach you how to do that by some of the sea legs, or some of the legs we put down are through our systems and through our mentoring programs.
Right.
And so, that's taken a lot of trial and error on our part to be able to put that together. We've done a lot of things wrong. So don't look at saying, hey, you guys done everything right. I'm not just bringing that part of it. I'm bringing what we've done wrong. So you don't have to go through that as well.
Absolutely. We want to pass this forward so we can increase that success rate for agents in our business, because we love the life insurance industry. And so that stability training is really about generating leads and building your database, learning how to leverage systems and processes to ultimately build loyalty. And that's a relationship-based conversation. We're here to build loyalty and relationships with our clients. And if you'll do that, they will send you everyone they know, which feeds right back into your lead generation. Now you're running a stable business. And from there, where we help agents go, if you want to go from $500,000 a year to $1 million plus, you have to really accelerate that leverage conversation. This is where the process of adding additional people into your business to do certain things so that you can focus on just driving massive leads into that conversation.
Yeah, I'll take that back a little bit to Robert Kiyosaki. He talked about the BI triangle, right? So he talked about going from an employee to self-employed to running a business. You know, and I don't remember what did he call the self-employed people? Crazy.
You own a job.
Yeah, you own a job.
Employees have a job. Self-employed people own a job.
Right, and that can actually, I think that's the reason why a lot of people wash out in this business as well. All the pressure's on you each and every day to do everything, and if you're not there, this business doesn't move forward.
No.
So who's teaching you how to take it from that miserable position to be in? I'll say miserable because eventually probably will be, to saying, okay, now let me put together a business.
Yep. And that's where that Thrive conversation comes into play. It's actually how to create a business in this business. You're not owning a job anymore. You have a system and a process and people who are working with you, so you're actually running a legitimate business.
Right.
And that is a very exciting, fun conversation. We need more people at that level in this business so we can go serve and protect more families.
100%. Because as we take and develop and grow people, the whole idea is that as they grow to the position where now they have knowledge, that's one of the things that I was attracted here, is that I feel like I have a great message to sell or to share, and I want to share that with everybody. But I didn't have a system and a process to share that message for agents. I could do it for clients, but I'm like, I need to share this with agents. And so what you had was a system where I could actually do that. So that's why it was such a good marriage.
Collaboration.
Exactly. But it's the same thing with, anybody else that hits that Thrive. There's going to be a point in your life where you're going to go, I want to share my knowledge with somebody else. So what I've learned and all the experiences I had can be passed down, and somebody can be 10 times better than I've ever been. That's my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And so that's the Thrive. That's the end game as I see it, is that when we get people starting to give back more than they've ever received, that's when you're going to have a super community.
And that's exactly what we're building.
Yep.
And so the reason we're so passionate about this is, one, because we love this industry.
Yep.
We love One America. We love our clients, and we need better leaders now and in the future in this business.
As quick as possible.
As quick as possible. So if you liked what you heard today, make sure to check out our website, factumfinancial.com. You can learn how to become an agent with Factum and join the mission. Cool.
Good. Thank you.